like to apologize for the wait. We've been dealing with a lot of problems, but we finally just put the whole thing together. I'm first of all, AJ Stoll. I'm a senior journalist at Vista High School for Vista J. Here along with me are Kiana Wynn and Sophie Pepin, two of the moderators for the event, and I'm going to leave it up to them to go on with the debate. Thank you guys.
Welcome to the Board of Education candidate debate at Mountain Vista High School, hosted by Vista J. This debate is entirely student-led and student-organized. In addition, the students who have submitted questions to ask the candidates. Those 12 students whose questions were selected will be asking the questions during the debate. The two candidates who are opposing each other for their district will then respond to the question. Both candidates will have 2 minutes to initially respond to the question, followed by 2 minutes to make a rebuttal. The candidates responding will alternate for each question. I would now like to introduce each of our candidates. Running for director position for District B are Barbara Chase and Jim Geddes. Barbara Chase was graduated from Iowa State University in 1987 with a Bachelor's of Business Administration with a focus on marketing. She is endorsed by Douglas County educators, Douglas County parents, Steve Bowe, and Republican former county commissioner. In the district, she trained 1/3 of the school's parent-teacher groups on best practices for recruiting volunteers and fundraising. Her prior jobs include, currently she works as a regional sales manager for Sum Total Systems, selling talent management software to large corporations. Jim Geddes graduated from South High School and CU with a bachelor's degree. He also attended the University of Colorado School of Medicine and Parkland Hospital in Dallas, also known as the University of Texas Southwestern Medical School. He has 5 years general surgery residency with cardiovascular and thoracic surgery residency completed at the same hospital, Boston Children's Hospital, and a fellowship at Boston Children's Hospital in pediatric cardiac surgery. He is endorsed by Senate President John Andrews, Governor Bill Olins, Representative Chris Holbert, Senator Bill Armstrong, Representative Frank McNulty, Sue Sharkey, Castle Rock Town Council, Coroner Laura Thomas, and Douglas County Republicans. Previously in the district, he is active in the Republican Party, representing the district as a CU Regent. He has always been self-employed as a physician with focus on general trauma and thoracic surgery. Running for director position District D are Julie Kime and Judith Reynolds. Julie Kime was educated, she graduated from University of Arizona in 1987 with a Bachelor's of Science and Arts with focus on accounting. She is endorsed by Douglas County parents. Prior in the district, she was a board member and a participant in the PTOs and SACs since 2006 when her children came to Douglas County. She helped create parent groups at Castle Rock Middle School and Castleview High School to re-engage parents in their students' secondary education. She is also a classroom volunteer and a parent representative on teacher committees. She has been priorly employed as a senior auditor at the Office of Auditor General. She performs special investigations, financial and compliance audits of public entities, including school districts. She was a finance director at the Arizona Department of Economic Security, where she prepared comprehensive annual financial reports, managed a $2 billion budget, and the financial contracting, human resources, and accounting departments. She was a senior manager at Deloitte Consulting, where she was the leader and subject matter expert responsible for the design and implementation of systems to meet regulatory, financial, and case management needs of public entities. Lastly, she was the director of finance and contracts at Creative Energy Systems. Judith Reynolds graduated with a Bachelor of Science Education at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. She also has a Master's of Education from East Tennessee State University. She is endorsed by Douglas County Republican Party, the Douglas County Republican Party. Prior in the district, she is a classroom volunteer for 10 years. She is in the PTO school directory for 3 years. It's her 4th year in the Franktown SAC. She is a chair and DAC representative. This is her 2nd year in the EDCSD SAC as a parent representative. She regularly attends BOE board meetings for more than 4 years. Her prior employment includes an exercise physiologist at the Aurora Denver Cardiology, an exercise physiologist at Baptist Center for Health and Wellness at Nashville, Tennessee. She also worked at Walt Disney World as a lifeguard trainer, relief lead, and chemist. Running for the director position for District E are Doug Benevento and Bill Hodges. Doug Benevento is an attorney and received his BA from the University of Colorado, his master's from Johns Hopkins University, and his JD from the University of Denver. He's worked as an executive director of the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment and as a senior policy advisor for U.S. Senator Wayne Snyder. He's been endorsed by the former Governor Bill Owens, County Commissioner Jack Hilbert, the Douglas County Republican Party, and multiple parents and educators. Bill Hodges has a master's in human resources from Texas Tech University. He is endorsed by the Network for Public Education, Douglas County Parents, and the Douglas County Federation of Employees. His prior work in the district includes a human resources director and assistant superintendent of human resources for 10 years from 2001 to 2011. He has also worked for 25 years with AT&T in customer call centers and corporate human resources. He also worked for 3 years as a partner in financial consulting startup. Running for director position for District G are Rhonda Schulting and Megan Silverthorne. Rhonda Schulting has a bachelor's of journalism from the University of Nebraska in Lincoln. She is endorsed by the Network for Public Education, the South Metro Firefighters, Littleton Firefighters, and Colorado Firefighters. Her prior experience with the district is that her 2 sons graduated from Douglas County High Schools. Her prior employment, she works in public relations for a global real estate company founded and based in Denver. In that role, she assists with company officers around the world in building their business and serving their customers. She was elected to serve as a director of the Parker Fire Protection Board, responsible for wisely spending taxpayer dollars to keep the families and communities safe within the borders of the South Metro Fire Rescue Authority. For much of her career, she was a television journalist working for local stations in Denver and for national networks such as ABC, CBS, CNN, and Fox. Megan Silverthorne has a Bachelor's of Science with Aerospace Engineering and a Bachelor's of Arts with Political Science, both from the University of Colorado. She is pleased to be endorsed by a number of elected officials, parents, teachers, taxpayers, and advocacy groups. Her prior experience with the district is that she was a Board of Education member for 4 years. She is the BOE liaison for District Accountability Committee and the Student Advisory Group. Her current employment includes an analyst with the Department of Defense, and she previously worked as an engineering technician for the U.S. Air Force Research Laboratory. Before we begin, we would like to request that the audience not applaud, cheer, speak, or otherwise make clear their opinions during the debate. In addition, please turn off your cell phone and other electronic devices as a courtesy to the candidates. Jim Geddes was unable to attend as he is at his medical practice. Kevin Larson, the current Vice President of the Board of Education, will now make a statement on Dr. Geddes' behalf. We would now like to turn it over to Kevin Larson.
First of all, thank you to the students of our school district for putting together this fine forum this evening. Really appreciate the effort that you've put forward to have a fair debate tonight. The rest of the words I'm going to read to you are from Dr. Jim Geddes. Good evening. Regretfully, I'm unable to attend tonight's forum due to my work schedule. I'll be performing surgeries in Summit County. Thank you for allowing my proxy, Kevin Larson, to join the forum in my stead. Kevin is the current Vice President of the Douglas County School Board. As a member of the Board of Regents at CU, I'm excited to add my perspective from higher education as a complementary piece to complete the Board of Education in Douglas County. As we've all observed, the Douglas County school system has embarked on a number of exciting reforms which are already paying off for our students and their families. We are seeing better test scores, higher graduation rates, and overall better education quality with the implementation of teachers pay for performance, parental choice of multiple educational options, and local school budgetary discretion and accountability by our school principals. The pay for performance system is particularly important. Most studies show that the main determinant of the success in education is the quality of the teacher in the child's classroom. We know that Douglas County has some of the best teachers in Colorado, and the pay-for-performance system helps ensure that we continue to retain and attract those best teachers. The system was developed in cooperation with hundreds of teachers and will continue to be refined based on input from those teachers. This past year, top performing teachers received a pay and benefit increase up to 8.5%. This program has helped make Douglas County a destination school district for teachers. This year there were 500 teaching positions open and more than 40,000 applications were received. I'm a strong believer in school choice. We should continue to expand choices for students, ensuring robust programs among our high schools, expanding STEM programs, having charter schools, online learning, and other programs of interest to parents and students. I am also excited about the Choice Scholarship Program. This program is now tied up in the court system by ACLU attorneys, but eventually it will allow substantial further choice for our parents and students. Parents know their children best, their children's characteristics, their interests, potentials, and learning styles. Many parents may also hold strong beliefs, principles, and values that they wish to see respected and encouraged during their own children's school experience. I believe that all parents, regardless of their individual financial situation, should have assistance available which allows them to choose a qualified private school should the parents understand the private school setting is best for their own student and for their own family as a whole. Finally, we now have by far the most efficient school in the Denver metro area, achieving more academically on the lowest state funding. This board, as I do, values having a strong financial foundation on which to build sustainable commitments to our students, teachers, and community. When elected, I intend to support these exciting reforms, and I pledge to you that I will scrutinize the use of every penny we receive from the taxpayers, and I will particularly focus my attention on continuing improvement of the quality of education within our classrooms as we strive to create eager learners who are optimally prepared for a life of ongoing learning and a life of high productivity and accomplishment. I am excited to join the current board members in transforming the educational experience of our children here in Douglas County. Rather than retreating back to the 20th century, let's move forward with an exciting future for our children. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Larson. We'll now start our round one questions.
Our first question is directed towards District B and will be asked by Natalie Hodland.
Hi, I'm Natalie. I'm a senior here at Mount Vista. My question is, what is your response and solution to the recent Douglas County school voucher system lawsuit? Are the laws legal or are they unjustified?
Hi, I'm Barbara Chase, District B. In regard to the voucher program now called Choice Scholarship Program, when the board moved to create this, it was unconstitutional and it was illegal when they moved forward with those actions. So that's why the first judge agreed to stand by the law. There was an appeal process that disagreed, and so now it looks like it's on the way to the Supreme Court. So that was the first question, right? Okay, and the second question was?
Is it legal or unjustified?
Does that answer your question? Okay, thank you.
Our second question is directed toward District D and will be asked by Nick McLaughlin.
Hi, I'm Nick McLaughlin, senior here at Mount Vista. If elected to the board, will you want to resume negotiations with the teachers union or maintain the board's current position?
May I test first? So I'm Julie Kine from District D. Am I loud? Too loud? I think it's really important to realize that we have created a divide in our community and in our schools with our teachers, and I think it's important for us to recognize that we need to heal that divide. I don't think that that needs to be through a collective bargaining agreement. I think that can be in many ways showing trust and support to our teachers in their classroom, giving them the tools to take risks so they can proceed and make our children more educated in this technologically advanced environment that we're in. We need to bring them along. We need to develop tools for them to be assessed with them sitting at the table, with you, the students sitting at the table. You know who a good teacher is. You know what those characteristics are. And we need to have everyone represented, parents, the school board, teachers, principals, students, everyone should be at the table when we negotiate. So it has nothing to do with the unions, and I'm a little tired of hearing about the unions, to be honest with you. It really has to do with how we build trust among our teachers in our schools so that they can educate you in the best way they possibly can. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Judy Reynolds. I would not negotiate with the teachers union for a CBA, and there's one very simple reason for that. I believe that our best teachers deserve an opportunity to shine. They deserve an opportunity to be paid for their performance as an individual, and a collective bargaining agreement simply does not allow for that.
Wow. So, do I get like 8 minutes now? Because I really love to talk. So, what I would say to that is, are our best teachers shining? Those of you students I wish you could respond. I wish you could interact with me. I have seen so many very valuable teachers leave this school district in the last 3 years. It is unacceptable to me. I spent a lot of time in my kids' classrooms. I know almost every teacher at all 3 of my kids' schools that they've attended, and I will tell you, they are not happy and they are not shining, and it's not because they're not exceptional teachers. These are teachers who are rated as highly effective. I have one teacher who taught all 3 of my children in 5th grade. She spoke in front of the school board and said for the first time in her life, she felt she could be more effective for students outside of the classroom than in. So she could use her voice so that she did not have to fear for her job. She could speak up and be the best she could for her children. So I don't think we're allowing our teachers to shine. And in fact, if you look at the TEL survey, while often you hear that many of the results were great, that's because they asked about the school results. The teachers were told to fill out the form based on the school results. I don't know about your school, but most of our schools, the principals are being very good buffers right now between what is happening and what's actually happening as far as children being educated in our schools, or students. You guys really aren't children. But I think one of the only question that related to the district and their understanding or their feelings about the district was whether or not they would choose to leave Douglas County School District. And let me just tell you, Douglas County School District teachers are 18 times more likely to leave than Cherry Creek School District teachers. What does that tell you? Is that an environment where we can shine? Where you as students can shine and your teachers can shine? I don't think so. Thank you.
Our teachers work in their classrooms. They don't work at the district office. That's where their focus is. That's where their work environment is. I believe that they have largely a good work environment there. I believe that the results on the TEL survey are an accurate portrayal of where they are and how they feel about their job in their building. I also don't buy into this myth that our teachers are leaving in droves. If you look at the actual numbers, that's not true. Our teachers are leaving at about the same rate that they have over the past 4 or 5 years, with some slight variations from year to year. Of the teachers that left the district this year, fewer than 70 of them took jobs in surrounding districts. And on the other side of that coin, for the 400 plus openings that there were in the district, there were more than 14,000 applications turned in for those positions. I believe the Douglas County School District is a place that teachers want to come because they want something different from a normal union environment.
The next question will be directed towards District E. The following question was submitted by a student from Highlands Ranch High School who are on the Lone Tree Youth Commission. How would you evaluate student achievement and decide how much pay a teacher should get depending on this?
Could you repeat that again?
Yeah. How would you evaluate student achievement and decide how much pay a teacher should get depending on this?
Well, we've done it, so I can tell you how we're doing it. First, It's not the Board of Education that should be making the decision with respect to individual teacher pay. It's the principals, the assistant principals, the people that they work with every day. One of the mechanisms that has been used, and this is for evaluating the teacher, is that 50% has to be driven by the academic performance of the students on testing. The other 50% is being designed around how the teacher is working with other teachers, how the teacher is developing class plans. You know, what we're trying to do is teach students not to just memorize facts, but to teach them how to use and apply those facts, and that's part of the evaluation that we use. What we do know about student achievement over the past 4 years, particularly in our high schools, is that it's gone up. The number of AP tests that are being taken are up. The number of our TCAP and our TCAP/CSAP scores are up. Our number of students in international baccalaureate are up. Our graduation rate is dramatically up, dramatically because they changed the way that it was being measured about halfway through from just graduating to on-time graduation. So what we have done is we've allowed those best teachers to be compensated for their performance as evaluated at the school level, not the district level, which I think is important. And we've also sent a message to teachers who have been rated ineffective that they don't get the same financial incentive. It's important to note that if you have a great teacher at this school and they're highly effective, that they received over an 8% raise this past year. If there's an ineffective teacher, that teacher received a 0% raise. In other school districts, the highly effective teachers and the ineffective teachers all received a 1.9% raise. I think that sends the wrong message. I think we are becoming a destination district for those who are great. Thank you.
As Mr. Benvento has said, we are required by state law to attach 50% of a student's test score to a teacher's evaluation. I think that's too high. What I would do is, once I got elected to the board, is I would work with the state legislature and see if we can't get that lowered a little bit lower than the 50%. I think the 50% puts too much pressure on both the student and the teacher to teach to the test. And when you do something like that, you lose creativity for the student, and I think you lose creativity in the classroom for the teacher. So that's where I'm coming from about the 50% weight. We talk about the fact that more of our students have graduated. Well, of course they have. This board has lowered the graduation requirements, so naturally more kids would be able to graduate than what has happened in the past. He's cherry picking his results about high school results on the last exam. First of all, we are slipping in grades 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And for those of you that are doing better on your TCAP tests and so forth, I would just ask you to remember who was the 2 superintendents back when you were the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, or 7th grade. And the viable curriculum that we had at the time that you were exposed to, that I believe laid the foundation for you to continue to do well and to do better on these TCAP tests as you got into high school.
Well, Bill, speaking of cherry-picking data, has become the master of cherry-picking data. In fact, our elementary school scores are stable or going up. But Bill, the graduation rates were lowered in 2009 when you were in a leadership position with the district and I wasn't on the board. You brought this up several times. Can you tell the audience when that board lowered graduation rates, what kind of objection you registered with them? That's what I thought. Look, the point is the graduation rates were lowered. They were lowered in 2009. They were lowered before I was on the board. Now, here's the point, and you know this if you're in high school. Our graduation rates are the highest in the metro area. We're tied with Denver at not graduation rates, graduation requirements. We're tied at 24. Everybody else is beneath that. I think those are the highest in the state as well. If you want to go above 24, you're allowed to do that. You're not stuck at 24. If the new board wants to raise graduation requirements, that's fine, but that comes with mandated extra classes that you have to take. Maybe in the next round, Bill will tell us how high he wants to raise graduation rates. But the graduation rate argument has become, or the graduation requirement argument has become a bit of a silly issue. The last board did it. No, we did not increase them. You are not limited in the number of classes you can take. And and we have the highest graduation requirements in the metro area. I think that tells the story.
Not true. And you know it's not true. Because what will happen is the classes that you want to take get filled very quickly, and therefore you can't take the electives that you want to take because this board has cut 13 to 15 teachers in every high school times 9 high schools. So when you get ready to register for the electives that you want to take, those classes are closed, and you end up taking something that really doesn't have the rigor that you're looking for. We know for a fact that students who are trying to get into colleges and universities once you graduate from high school are having a very difficult time to get into their school of choice because of the lack of rigor. And therefore, by having cut the graduation requirements and not giving you the opportunity because classes are closed, negates you being able to do what you really would like to do in terms of being able to be on a level playing field with other state students trying to get into college and universities as well on a national basis. And that's not right.
One more time? Oh.
Sorry, you only get one rebuttal. Our next question is directed towards District D. G, sorry. It's you. And will be asked by Bailey Parker.
Hi, I'm Bailey Parker. I'm a senior here at Mount Vista. And my question is, in regards to Douglas County's high school curriculum, what are any changes that you are proposing? How will these changes that you propose better prepare high school students to become enlightened citizens and be better prepared for the future?
Rhonda Schulting running for District G. To answer your question, quite frankly, the bottom line is to make sure that all of you can go where you want to go, whether college or into the workforce after high school. We have to enlarge the number of offerings that we have at the high school level. We have cut back in terms of cutting teachers and cutting the classes that are available to students. So I would propose that we take some money and put it back into the high schools. Some of the money that was cut last year, $3.6 million, because of the district's inability to forecast budgets, which has left us with a large contingency fund. Some of that money, which is earmarked, should be going back to our high schools to help you guys prepare for the future. And that's what I would propose. Not anything necessarily specific, but more classes, more opportunities for our students to do better.
Good evening, Megan Silverthorne. Thank you so much for coming tonight. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here in front of you. I'm talking about curriculum. I think one of the things that is great about our district is that we have site-based decision-making about curriculum. So we can make decisions at the school level. Each of you who go maybe to different schools will see different offerings at different schools. So those conversations can be had at your individual school level. So you as a school community can decide if you need changes, what changes those are, and what those you want to be in the future. So I think that's really an exciting opportunity for communities. And a lot of people perhaps don't know that that's an opportunity that they can participate in. Speaking about better prepared for the future, I like the fact that our schools are so diverse in terms of where people go afterward. I have an opportunity to participate in graduation ceremonies, and I shake people's hands and I ask, where are you going? And the answers are so different. It's incredible. Kids go they go to college, they go to community college, they go to local apprenticeships, and they go to the military and other opportunities. So I think that's really, really exciting. We did put money back in the schools this year. We put about $200 per student. I think that's a mark of how our economy is improving. I think it's something that we are able to do to make sure that our students have a maximum number of opportunities. And I'm really excited that our individual schools are able to offer some of the things that they're able to offer. Thank you.
It's a wonderful thing to have site-based budgeting and allow each of our schools to decide what they want, what's best for their students. What's a bad thing here is that the district is not fully supporting that. Megan says that money was put back into the system, $200 per student, and what does that really mean for folks here at Mountain Vista? What does that mean for anyone across the district when a very miserly amount of money is put back in, when you're looking at a contingency fund, again, of $83 million that has been unspent and is not going back into the schools where we need it desperately. Here at Mountain Vista, 10 teachers left since last year. At Chaparral, where my two boys attended, 30 teachers left, plus the principal, Ron Peterson, who was a longtime principal there. He went to Cherry Creek. There are teachers leaving. Many are not being replaced. And students do not have the same resources, the same opportunities that they've had in the past. And that does not prepare anyone in this audience for what life is after high school. It doesn't prepare you for college, it doesn't prepare you for the workforce. We need to reinvest in you folks because you guys are the future of our community. Without you, without a good school system, our economy and this community will fail.
I'm glad to have an opportunity to talk about what $83 million means. $83 million was the amount of money on the district's books on June 30th of last year. That money balance is 15 months old at this point, so it's a check register. $12 million went for Tabor. That's a reserve required by law. You can't really spend that money. You're talking about state takeover and payback immediately if you spend that money. $51 million was assigned, full-day kindergarten money, retirement money for teachers. Those kinds of things are what the $51 million is. $700,000 was non-spendable. It's inventory and prepaid costs. So that leaves $18 million. $18 million is our rainy day fund. Some of that did go back to the classroom, I might add, last year. The rainy day fund represents less than 1 month's teacher salary. So I don't think that that's an inappropriate amount to keep in our reserve. The federal government has shut down. We don't do that around here, but the federal government has done that. And they pay for things like school lunches. They pay for special ed stuff. Imagine if the government shut down, it meant no money to the schools, and we didn't have any money to replace that. So we now have that. We don't have to worry about a government shutdown. So I think that that's something that I'm very glad that the district has prepared for. The financial situation is a lot better than it was a few years ago. We are within the bounds of our means. We're doing the best that we can for our students in terms of putting money back at the schools. Every time we see an opportunity, every time we get additional tax dollars, every time we get revenue, we put that money back into the classrooms, back into teacher salary, and I think that's where it belongs. Thank you.
We will now begin our second round of questions. The first question is for District 3 and will be presented by Gwen Clark.
Hi, my name is Gwen Clark, and I'm a senior here at Mount Vista, and my question is, what will you do to help reduce class sizes and/or increase funding in order to allow teachers to have more manageable workloads and in order for students to receive the individualized attention they might need?
Raise your hand if you think it's raining. That rainy day fund actually has 17 to 18 million, which you just heard Megan say, available to put back into the classrooms responsibly. So there's no fear of shutdown or anything like that. We can take the 3.6 million that was taken away by this current school board, increasing teacher workloads from teaching 5 classes a day to teaching 6 classes a day. The stat I hear from teachers is that it increases their workload about 20% and makes them more tired and stressed out. In order to give you guys the best education that you need, we have got to release that funding now. So that is absolutely one thing that I would do. The second is this board that says they're offering the best education has failed in getting a necessary bond measure passed. In meeting with Bill Moffitt, who is head of the facilities, He's saying that we run out of money in about 5 years to be able to build new buildings to keep up with the continued population increase that's happening. So this is critical. They asked the public in 2011, hey, pass a bond so that we can pay for our pay for performance, which will need about $10 million to do that, if any of you guys remember. Well, the voters said no, because they didn't want to pay for performance when we already had it. We've had pay for performance since 1996, I believe, or 1993. And so we need to understand, okay, hey, but if we understand that we're running out of money for buildings and we're stressing out our teachers and we're not allowing kids to take electives of their choice because they're having mandatory free time, then let's figure out how to get that accomplished. Anit Chauhan, I hope I'm saying that right, she's a recent IB grad. She Facebooked me today. And she said that because of the mandatory free period, she had to give up IB Spanish and AP statistics. And so now she's got to make up for those missed courses at a greater cost in college. And her quote here is, "It decreased the quality of education I received in high school." That is irresponsible, and it is why I am running for this position and to reverse the decline of this district. I have a freshman at Thunder Ridge. She's in honors geometry, but because those classes are shorter, I now have to hire and have hired a tutor. So I have a tutor that comes to our house every week to help her, my daughter, be successful. Now, thankfully, we can afford to do that, but not all parents can do that. And I think that is fiscally irresponsible and unaccountable from our school board to deliver the quality of education that all of our kids in Douglas County deserve. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question will be for District D and will be presented by Matt Burley.
Hi, I'm a senior here at Mountain Vista, and my name is Matt Burley. What do you think of the new schedule? Do you think it works effectively? If not, how could it be changed to be more effective?
The new schedule is new to us. It's not a new schedule in other places. A block or a modified schedule actually has been used in Douglas County before. It was being used at one of our high schools before last year. I think like every schedule, there are advantages and disadvantages. I think that some of the advantages in my own daughter's experience is that she likes the longer block days. Those days give her more time with her teacher. It gives time to answer questions. It often gives time to start on homework, so you get an opportunity to see if you really understand the classes. The fact that there's only homework for 4 classes most nights of the week is also advantageous for kids that are involved in activities. They're not trying to get homework done for 7 or 8 classes. The advantage and the reason that that schedule was put into place is because at the time, 2 things were being asked by our high school teachers, students, and principals. That we be able to find a way to create more classes and more sections of classes, and that we be able to decrease class size. That's happened. At some of our high schools, there were over 400 classes that had more than 30 kids in them before the schedule change. Since the schedule change, at most of those schools, there are 100 classes that have over 30 kids in them. The reason that some of those classes have more than 30 is that includes classes like band, like PE. So I think from that perspective, it's a good thing. The one thing that it did do is it changed the amount of time that a teacher has in their prep times and their prep periods. I think that the trade-off being that class sizes are smaller, that they don't have as many people in their classroom at the same time, that is a good thing.
Barbara's too tall, so I have to adjust. Gosh. So the schedule's an interesting topic, isn't it? My 2 older children have gone to or are going to Castleview High School that has a full block schedule. I don't know if many of you know about that, but we actually have 4 intensive block classes every quarter. So you get a semester's worth instruction in a quarter. You go double the time. So that's a true block schedule where you really only have 4 classes all the time. And that's only if you get to take 4 classes. Unfortunately, last year, our principal had to tell our students that only, rather than a few exceptions, the students could only take 3 out of the 4 block scheduled classes per quarter. That's 90 minutes a day. They sat out of class, and did goodness knows what. They're going all over the streets and doing all kinds of things. As far as the schedule is concerned, I really get frustrated by this 6 of 8 or 5 of 7 discussion. I mean, that's really the teacher's perspective, not the student's perspective. I want you to be able to go to class when you want to go to class. If you want to take 8 classes, you should be able to take 8 classes. We should not have funding at the district level going down to the high schools continue to be reduced. Let me tell you that I've looked at the site-based budgets, and as of last year, the district receives so much for per pupil revenue, and they pass down a portion of that to your school for your site-based budget. That's the budget we were talking about where your principal can make choices about what he offers and how many teachers he hires and all of that. Let me tell you that last year, only 48% of the per pupil revenue received by the district was passed down to your high school. 48%. That meant 52% stayed at a level above where our children are being educated. I find that unacceptable, and I think we need to look at how we bring money back into the classrooms where you are actually learning. Thank you.
I don't know if you guys realize the reason that we have less money. Douglas County is the lowest funded school district in the metro area. We get almost $1,500 less per pupil than Denver County gets for their kids. We also have had cuts based on the state level over the course of the last 4 years. What the district has done is when they find that they have extra money and know that that money is actually available, then that money is being returned to our schools. In the case of the schedule, one of the things that I can tell you is that I recently had a discussion with one of the principals at Douglas County High School. What he said is that what he needs to return to a 5 of 7 schedule at that one building is an ongoing $3.5 million a year. Now, you guys are all high school students, so I know that you can do basic math. 9 high schools, $17 million in the board's reserve. That's not $3.5 million, and that $3.5 million needed on a year is not provided anywhere in our budget to do that on an ongoing basis.
So let me speak to, what is actually, so of that 48% that's passed down to you, let me tell you those state cuts that Ms. Reynolds is referring to were passed down at a rate of 75%. So you only got 48% of the money to begin with, but as soon as there was a cut, you got 75% of that cut at your school. Does that seem like a fair use of the funds? No, I don't think they should be staying at the administrative level. I think they should be down in the classroom. As it relates to the $3.5 million to go to the 5 of 7, I find that really interesting because to go to the 6 of 8 last year was only a $3.6 million issue, at which time the CFO in a school accountability committee meeting that I was in admitted to having $15 to $17 million free. She could have changed your whole last year by freeing up $3.6 million, but that was not the choice that was made. Instead, you were all asked to go to school part-time, and that is not okay with me. It's all right if you choose to go part-time and your parents agree for you to have a class off to study or whatever you need to do. But if you are a student who wants to get ahead and take advantage of their high school career, you should have every opportunity to do so. And we need to make sure we get the funds down at the high school level to make that happen. Thank you.
Our next question is for District E and will be asked by Darren Stone.
Hi, I'm Darren Stone. I'm a senior here at Vista. My question is, if elected, how would you balance funding between administration and academic departments?
I think that's a great question. This district in the last year school year 2011 versus 2012 versus back to 2008 and 2009 has increased the administration by 10%. At the same time, teachers are being cut, class sizes are being enlarged, instructional time is being lowered, some of our test results are slipping. So I think what you really have to do is gauge what you need in a school first to be successful. And so there are ratios to work out the staffing formula for the principal, how many APs you need, the athletic director that you need, and so forth. And those questions need to be answered first. So we need to put the right number of administration in the schools first, and then we'd work with the central office administration piece second.
Well, in fact, Bill has his numbers wrong again. Over the last 4 years, we've reduced $2 million in administrative costs. We've reduced 20 FTE out of the central administration. Among those FTEs, we reduced our Bill's old department, which we found to have an extraordinarily high number of FTE, human resources. We went in and we reduced that department, and it's running very effectively. So effectively that the turnover rate for us over the past few years is significantly lower than the turnover rate when Bill was running the HR department. We also went in and stopped sending money outside of the school district to pay union leadership that did no work in the classroom, no work in the district, but were taking $300,000 a year out of the district just to organize a union. Instead of paying them, we decided that we were going to go ahead and put that money into the classroom. So what we are looking at doing is squeezing down our administrative costs as much as possible. And frankly, site-based budgeting, true site-based budgeting helps us do that. It helps us because we can put the money to the schools. The schools can then go ahead and determine how that they're going to spend it. We don't have to make those decisions. So I wouldn't tell you what I'm going to do. What we're going to do is continue to do what we are doing, which is reducing central overhead and putting money into the schools.
Doug has mentioned before the turnover rate compared to when I was the assistant superintendent of HR, and it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 10–12%, which if you compare it district to district is about the same. Numbers can tell you anything. I'm more interested in the people who left. And when you lose over 30 of your teachers at one high school, you lose the principal, you lose the APs, something's not right. We have lost 2/3 of the elementary principals in this district in 3 years. You lose leadership consistency when you have that kind of turnover. And you don't need me to tell you about the turnover that's going on in your own classes and in this high school, about the teachers that you've lost, or as you've heard from the TEL survey, teachers are thinking about leaving 18 times more than teachers who answered the same survey in Cherry Creek. It's interesting to me that Doug wants to talk about what's going on now compared to then, and yet we're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to introduce emergenetics into this school district, which is a profiling questionnaire, versus putting money back into the classroom. We're paying $50,000 or more for outside consultants to come speak for a morning. Why don't we put that money back in the classroom?
Well, first, the $50,000 wasn't school district money. It was private money donated for that purpose, so it wasn't classroom money, Bill, and I think you know that. Second, you walk around the question of the turnover rate when you were responsible for retention at the district and while we were responsible, but you always forget the fact. Yours was higher. More teachers were leaving under your watch than were leaving under our watch. We have a higher satisfaction rate under the TEL survey. Yes, satisfaction of teachers in the school, which is actually where we want them to be satisfied. You may want them to be satisfied with you as a board member. I want them to be satisfied in the classroom. We're in fact putting more money back into the classroom as a percentage of the education dollar than was put in there 4 years ago. In fact, we are doing a better job of managing our finances. We're doing a better job of managing the teachers in terms of keeping them satisfied and in terms of keeping them retained. And a lot of that is because we actually have a true pay-for-performance system. And that pay-for-performance system is paying those excellent teachers to stay. Our turnover rate among our highly effective teachers was 1.5–2% from what I understand. I think that's great. That's who we want to stay, that's who we're trying to attract, and that's what our system is designed to do. And in fact, we're doing better than any other district around us in that regard. Thank you.
Audience, I would like to remind you, please, no comments. Our next question is directed toward District E, and Anthony Huffaker asked this question, but he was not available tonight, so I will read it. The following question was submitted by Anthony Huffaker, a senior at Mountain Vista High School. There has been budget cuts in the majority of the departments in Douglas County schools, and one of those departments hit the hardest is the performing arts, orchestra, jazz, choir, etc. How do you think the performing arts are beneficial to the development of students, and what will you do to keep performing arts from disappearing from high schools completely?
I think performing arts are tremendously important. I'm happy to have been a member of the Chaparral Patrons of the Performing Arts for the last 4 years. It's really exciting because they have an incredible program over there. They're right next to my house, and so I've been privileged to attend a lot of their performances. So in terms of the development of students, I think arts are an incredible asset to anybody who chooses to pursue them. So it's not just theater, it's music, it's a lot of the sorts of things that people want to pursue when they get beyond high school. In terms of what will I do, I think there are a couple different things that can be done. Right now we have a lot of booster clubs that raise money. The Patrons of the Performing Arts is one of them. And they've always been around. They've always been there to assist the local department in raising money for particular items. And they have a list of specific things that they've bought and that they've done. What I think is more important is creating a guaranteed pipeline to make sure that those monies stay at the schools. I know that the overall budgets at the district level have been hit hard, and individual schools have made those decisions because they have a lack of resources in general. The economy is on an upswing, more money is going back into the schools, and I'd personally like to see additional partnerships in the community. I've been speaking with various leaders around the community about performing arts and how to make sure that they stay strong in the schools and that they don't sink beyond a level that they've already sunk to, and that we continue to build them back up from where they were. Thank you.
High school band has a special place in my heart because that's where I spent 4 years at Papillion High School in Papillion, Nebraska. Learned a lot of things in band. It was my first door-to-door opportunity to sell band candy and band calendars and band whatever I could get my neighbors or my friends' parents to buy, because we did that for extras, however. When I was in school, band was something that the school district provided. There was a band conductor, and he ran the class, and the lessons that he gave us were just part of our education. You know, it's interesting to kind of talk about this because this district, quite frankly, is letting arts in its school slowly die. There aren't a lot of kids coming up from the elementary school level and middle school level that have the opportunity to play an instrument unless their parents, of course, have the funds to enable that to happen. Being in band or drama or any other kind of art courses adds a lot to your life, and it's something that I am sad is not as available in Douglas County schools as it used to be. In fact, I talked to a parent just last night who said, yes, you know, I have to pay now for my daughter to take lessons. It's something I do because she enjoys it, but this district is asking parents to pay for more and more and more. We're asking our booster clubs to pay for more and more and more. And he said that's just not right, and I believe him. I agree with him. It's not right. We need to do something about that. And again, we've talked about the fund balance, and Megan's talked to you about what's available and what's not. But there is money, and we have to decide what to do with that money and how best to educate our kids and give them an experience in this district that will stick with them for the rest of their lives.
You know, I'm glad that Mrs. Schulting brought up her own experience. I learned to play all kinds of instruments from a young age. I started my musical career in the 3rd grade, and continued through college marching band, which was an incredible experience if you want to pursue that. I find that music is incredibly important. We do have a lot of funding challenges in our district. I think that's kind of what we need to focus on. We want to make sure that we have a revenue stream for music and the arts. I think when people talk about the money that's available, they talk about it as if it's some kind of recurring source, and it's not. $18 million that I spoke about earlier is not a recurring source. We need to make the arts sustainable. We need to make sure we put money in there that's not just available right now, but that's available every single year, so that we don't have to keep going back to booster clubs and saying, oh my goodness, we spent our money last year, now we don't have money this year, and we don't have money at all because there's not enough balance left to support what we wanted to do last year. So yes, we need booster clubs are a vital part of our district, but I want to make sure that we have a sustainable ongoing source to make sure that the arts are where we want them to be, and those conversations can happen around the individual schools.
Of course, at this point, I think many parents would argue that there is not the impetus in the district to sustain arts or to sustain many of the things that they believe their children are interested in. And quite frankly, parents are tired of paying and paying and paying for something that their tax dollars already paid for. And while the impetus and the importance in this district should be to giving a very good basic rounded education to all of the students here, there are also things that add so much to someone's life that you can't take away. Again, experience in band, marching band, concert band, opened me up to a world of opportunities. I was able to travel with the band. Of course, we raised the extra money for that. But it's just sort of an example of, honestly, what this district is doing in terms of ratcheting down, honestly, to the choices that the parents have in this district. There aren't as many choices as there used to be in this district for kids that want to excel at arts, for kids that want to maybe see that as a career as they graduate and go on either to college or out into the workforce. So the choices that parents have now, they are paying for. They're not provided by the district anymore like they used to be. We all realize that the economy at some point in time obviously was not very good. It is coming back. Actually, I sit on the Parker South Metro Fire Board, and the projections coming in from Douglas County are anywhere from 1.5% to 2% increase in property taxes that will be coming in to that particular district's budget. So we know that the economy is getting better. We know that money's coming back. The question is, will this district be able to project what it has to work with before it cuts the budget yet again, which is done for the past 3 years, which has grown that contingency rainy day fund.
Thank you, District 3. We'll now take a 10-minute intermission, and we will resume at 8:00.
We're about, the intermission is just finished, and we're about ready to start up on our next 4 questions. So, once again, I'm going to give it up to the moderators. Thank you.
Okay, we are now on round 3, and our round 3 will commence with District E, and will be asked by Avi Sharma.
Hello, I'm Avi Sharma. I'm a senior at Vista High School, and this is my question. The number of students with special needs attending the Douglas County schools continues to increase rapidly. How do you plan to expand DCSD special needs programs to address this without compromising quality?
I absolutely agree. And it's special needs on both ends of the spectrum, right? Not only talented and gifted, but the traditional special needs as well. And when you have budget cuts, that typically means that your educational assistants go away. And so that hurts the quality of education that we are responsible for giving. So something needs to be done. An option might be voting for Amendment 66, which will bring $52 million into Douglas County schools, and will also be held accountable for that, but it's additional sustainable money. As Megan mentioned, we have a funding challenge. So what is the answer? It's not about talking and talking and talking and starving our students to fatten our bank accounts. I just think that's ethically wrong. So if we can't get a bond passed, then we need to look at additional sustainable revenue in conjunction with utilizing that rainy day fund. I just got mobbed by the cutest, lovely group of students down here, and all of them, whether they came from Rock Canyon, Mountain Vista, or Thunder Ridge, that's one of the 12 that I was just talking, were saying, oh my gosh, I agree, I'm a senior, and once the class hits capacity, like I mentioned with that AP statistics quote that I gave, then they have to pick something else. So it's a problem right now, and I just think it's crazy that these adults, we're talking about what's impacting you guys as students, and you're not going to be a freshman again. You're not going to be a senior again, whether you're special needs or average. So it is our responsibility as a school board to wake up, understand that responsibility, and act upon it. And that's why I think I'll be the best candidate for this position, because my opponent has not been active in Douglas County schools. And in fact, he actually quoted on July 27th that he is concerned about groupthink with the CU regions, and he thinks that when you have groupthink, it's absent of general intellectual diversity of our faculty. Our students are robbed of the rich, delicious soup, the stimulating educational environment typified by enthusiastic debate. I couldn't agree with Dr. Geddes more. That's why we shouldn't have 7-0 all thinking the same way. We need people like myself and Rhonda Schulting and Julie Keim and Bill Hodges that bring in different thoughts, different ideas, and create that delicious soup to make sure that special educated students, every student, is educated optimally. Thank you.
Our next question is for District D and will be asked by Tucker DeLargy.
Hello, my name is Tucker DeLargy. I am currently a senior at Mountain Vista High School. With the recent news of multiple shootings in the last couple of years, how do you expect to keep the students of Douglas County safe without being a distraction from learning or being a nuisance in general?
Could you just repeat the very first part of your question?
With recent news of multiple shootings in the last couple of years, how do you expect to keep the students of Douglas County safe?
Okay. So safety is, I've heard, is our #1 concern in Douglas County. And I think it's really important that we are concerned about our students. However, I'm not sure we can protect our students 100% of the time, all the time. I believe that, unfortunately, there are situations, people in this country who make terrible choices and hurt our children. I, for one, don't know that I want my children to go to a high school where they have to go through metal detectors to get in. And what good would that do anyway? If someone has a machine gun or something, they can shoot a door out and go right past that metal detector. So I don't want our schools to become prisons. I really want them to be the caring and collaborative environments that they're meant to be. But aside from that, I wanted to talk about a couple of other things. I think it's really important to understand on the budget that when we're talking about fund balance, we don't really need to go there just on fund balance. Every year for the last 4 years, our district has been unable to budget to the tune of $20 million per year, and this year it's almost $30 million. This has nothing to do with fund balance. It has to do with how much money is available to go into the classrooms every single day for you to get the best education possible. We talk about one-time money, we talk about all of these things. We've had an ongoing $20 million that has been kept out of your classrooms for you to be the best educated students that you can.
School safety is something that the district has taken very seriously. In addition to school resource officers and agreements with the local sheriffs and police departments, at the high school level, that program's been brought down into the middle and the elementary schools so that the sheriff's departments and the local police departments are regularly patrolling our schools, showing a presence at the schools, becoming familiar with the schools. That doesn't mean that we're going to prevent every incident. I believe that that's an impossible thing to do. But what we can do is make sure that we have the things in place, that the officers in our community are familiar with our buildings, and they're able to protect our children.
We've always had an officer come to our school in Larkspur. I live in Larkspur. Our school is our community center. That's where everyone does everything. We have officers at our school all of the time. So again, I think, you know, the safety thing is very important to discuss, but we've spent a lot of money on it, and I think it's important for us to think about how we prioritize our money. One of the things that I think is missing is parent and student and community and taxpayer voice in this board. There are no opportunities for us to give information to our school district about what is important for us or what is not. Some may think safety is the most important thing. Some may think high school is the most important thing. Others may think elementary school is the most important thing. But we need to have a voice in this community so that we can tell our school board members what is the most important thing. Ms. Reynolds serves on the District Accountability Committee. It is the committee that is supposed to go out to the school accountability committees and understand concerns about funding and other issues at the school level. I will tell you, I've been involved in school accountability committees since I've been in Douglas County, and even before when I was at Lewis Palmer School District with my children. And I have not once been asked as a school advisory council member for input into the budget for the district. I don't think that's okay. We need to be providing oversight. The board needs to provide oversight, and the DAC needs to provide oversight. And we must have an information flow so that we all have a voice in this. Students, you are amazing. You put this together. You know how dollars should be spent in your school. You know what's important, whether it's arts, more teachers, more AP classes. All of the variety of choices that you have, you can give that feedback to your principal, to your school accountability committee, and then that should be moved forward to the district accountability committee, which then ultimately reports up to the Board of Education. We have lost our public voice in this district, and I will not let that continue to happen. I will listen to our constituents when I get elected. That's Julie Kahn for District D. Thanks.
School accountabilities are where parents, teachers, community members, and principals make decisions about that school. Some of those are budget decisions, some of those are curriculum decisions. What a school accountability does is they make budget priorities, and then they work with the principal on those budget priorities. Those budget priorities are passed on to the DAC and disseminated and then shared with the board. We're not talking about how dollars are spent specifically, we're talking about the things that we find important and matter to us in our school buildings. Communication is a big part of this. The SACs have to communicate with the DAC as well as the DAC communicate with them. That's done through a website, that's done through emails, that's done through public meetings. Also, site-based budgeting is a really important key in all of this budget issue. Because schools are in control of their own budgets, they are allowed not only to decide how that money is spent, but they are allowed to decide when they don't spend the money. And all of our high schools last year had a carryover fund that they had assigned for a specific purpose that was important to that school and that building. That makes it very difficult to budget in the traditional top-down manner that most school districts are used to budgeting in. It's Judy Reynolds, District D. Please vote for me. Thank you.
Our next question is for District E and will be asked by Taylor Lamb.
Hi, I'm Taylor Lamb. I'm a senior at Mountain Vista. My question is, in the wake of a significant amount of teachers retiring or transferring districts, are there any plans to address teachers' demands in the future? Thanks.
So the turnover rate this year in the district was 11.5%. Our average around in the past 4 or 5 years has been somewhere in between there, and a little bit lower, low being the 10, a little bit higher, being some in the 13%. Our retention rate among our highly effective teachers was extraordinarily high. I think at 1.5–2% left. The rest remained. We are a destination district. I think it was mentioned earlier that out of 400 openings at the school district, we had 14,000 applications. I think that number speaks for itself. The trick with retaining good teachers is recognizing and rewarding good teachers, and that's what we've tried to do. We've tried to tell good teachers here and good teachers also in other districts who are looking at Douglas County that if you come here and if you perform at the school level, then you'll be receiving recognition and you'll be receiving monetary compensation for it. You'll get financially rewarded for it. I think that is what makes the difference between us and other districts. By far, more teachers came here from surrounding districts than came here from, than left here for other districts. So the premise that there is teachers fleeing the district is incorrect. In fact, the premise is, should be turned on its head. Teachers are coming here and teachers are staying, and we intend to keep that going as we continue to implement a pay-for-performance system, an individualized pay-for-performance system, which hasn't been implemented in the past. It tells a good teacher, if you're a great teacher, we're going to pay you. And one of those measurements we're going to pay you on is helping other teachers become great teachers as well.
With regard to the teacher evaluation connected to the pay for performance, this board was told by their own outside consultant that they weren't ready to implement either one. And what you have, as Doug talks about highly effective, is that there's too much subjective judgment in trying to decide who is highly effective and who isn't. I say you know. I say parents know. But the problem is the inter-rater reliability of both the evaluation is best questioned even by their own outside consultant. And then they tell teachers in April or May, March or April let's say, how they're really going to be evaluated. And they're getting that evaluation in May or June. So it's a moving target and has been a moving target for our teachers. So why would you stay if you're not being evaluated fairly? And I would also tell you that there are huge implementation problems with the pay-for-performance plan. It is not fair. It is tied to the evaluation that there are flaws with as well. And so that's why teachers are leaving, or why they are telling the state in a TEL survey 18 times what's going on in Cherry Creek, I'm thinking about leaving. So you talk about the 12% turnover rate. We mentioned this before, Doug and I did. My issue is the number is the number. What you really need to ask underneath the surface of the 12% is who were those people? And I will tell you a lot of them are our most talented teachers, principals who have left this district to go elsewhere because they didn't get the respect, their voice wasn't heard, and they chose not to stay.
Well, it's difficult to refute Bill because he makes assertions without facts. And I think that's because the facts aren't on his side. And so, as they say in the law, when the law's on your side, argue the law. When the law's not on your side, argue the facts. When neither's on your side, just go ahead and argue. And that appears to be what we're doing up here. I will share with you facts with respect to the evaluation system that we have. The evaluation system we have did come out a little bit late, but it didn't come out, it came out just before the state, or just after the state's evaluation system. The state's evaluation system would have had us grading gym teachers based upon a literature component. That wasn't going to make sense. What we did is we took a system and we made it for Douglas County so that it made sense for the teachers. And then we asked the teachers to help us develop a pay-for-performance system. They did. Over 800 participated. And you can listen to those teachers on a video that's on the district website. They participated in putting together, they made the metrics, and they were the ones who are responsible for it. And I don't think you should criticize the teachers for doing that, Bill. I think that's wrong. In fact, what is happening is that we are changing from a step-and-lane system, and you can criticize what we've done, but I don't hear anybody defending the step-and-lane system. The step-and-lane system was unfair and set the incentives all wrong. What it did is it says if you were in a classroom for a certain amount of time, this is the raise you got. What it did, it said, is, well, if you went out and got an advanced degree, you got a pay raise. Interesting story in the Wall Street Journal over this weekend saying the data shows that that just doesn't work. So what we did is we went out and we developed a system that works based upon the data and that will pay our best teachers the best. And in fact, we'll pay teachers who are not doing as well less, and we will send them a signal as well that they need to improve their performance. Because at the end of the day, it's about achievement, and by any measure, particularly in high schools, our achievement has gone up over the past 4 years.
Just for the record, I was a community rep on the very first Pay for Performance program that we put together for this school district in 1993 and 94. And I continued to serve in that capacity as a community rep until I became employed by the school district in 2001. Teachers have never been afraid of a Pay for Performance program. What they are afraid of is one that is not fair and has flaws. By their own admission, this district administration has said that there are bugs to be worked out in the pay plan. Then you don't pay people off a flawed system. If I were a board member, what I would do for the school year of 2014-15, I would suspend the current Pay for Performance program. I would run it parallel with something similar to what we had before, figuring out how we could budget for that. And then you work the bugs out of the new plan. I'm not saying not to have a Pay for Performance plan, but I'm saying you don't pay people off something that is inequitable and needs to be rectified by their own admission. I'm Bill Hodges, and I'm running for the Director of District E.
The next question is for District G. Unfortunately, the student was not able to be here. The following question was submitted by students from Highlands Ranch High School who are on the Lone Tree Youth Commission. Do you plan to earn back the Douglas County's accreditation with distinction? If so, how would you accomplish this?
Probably right now, as we're here at this forum, there are families from across the country that are looking at Colorado as possibly a place that they would like to live. And of course, they're on the internet because more than 80% of folks start their search for a home or a place to live on the internet before they even contact a real estate agent. And if they land on Douglas County and they think that this is a great place to live, which we all know it is, they may look at the school district and the things that they'll find when they look at the school district, the turmoil, the teachers leaving, the inability to budget every single year will maybe give them pause. So earning back this accreditation with distinction, I think, is a very important thing for the school district to look at. And quite simply, it can be done probably with just a couple of key things. Number one, reinvest some of our excess funds back into the classroom to give the resources to the teachers so they can help our students be prepared for college or the workforce. And number two, try to do something to increase our test scores. Despite what's been said tonight, we are actually second in reading, math, and writing to Littleton Public Schools in the state. So we used to be number one 4 years ago. We are not anymore. So we are not better off now.
I want to tell you a story about accreditation with distinction. It is based on test scores. What has happened is that the district has taken over a couple of things. Most importantly, they've taken over a school called Hope Online. That used to be a small charter school out of the Vista School District in the southeast corner. What has happened is they've accepted students from around the state. They're minority students, they're at-risk students, they're low-income population. And so when we took them over, there was an agreement with the CDE, the Colorado Department of Education, not to factor in their scores for the first 5 years. When Dr. Fagan came on 2 years later, they said, "We're so sorry, we won't be able to abide by that." So we said, well, what should we do? Well, of course, we should keep our commitment to Hope Online. We should keep our commitment to our alternative students, because those students are the ones that we need to help. We have an obligation to help those students. Because they have low test scores, then they've pulled down the district's average enough that we are just below the threshold for accredited with distinction. What does that mean? That means our test scores are at a certain level. But on the flip side, we are helping students who have nowhere else to go. They have been given a tremendous opportunity in this district. I have I've been privileged to visit some of the locations that Hope Online's co-op has. One of them is in a converted mortuary in downtown Denver. Their stuff is packed to the ceiling, but those kids want to be there and they have an opportunity to be there. So if we want to talk about accredited work with distinction versus those kids who have another chance, then I'm all for the kids who have another chance. Thank you.
My oldest son went to Chaparral for a couple of years and then graduated from DC Oaks, which is one of the great alternative schools here in Douglas County. And quite frankly, blaming the loss of the accreditation of distinction on students who need special classes and need special help, I think is inexcusable from the standpoint of a board member in Douglas County. We need to, quite frankly, stop whining, pull ourselves up by our own bootstraps and get it done. We need to put more resources into our classrooms. We need to quit making excuses about what we do with our money and what is best for our students. That is part of that contingency fund, that rainy day fund that just sits there that we keep talking about all night. There is money there. There is money that has been earmarked. It is not being spent. We are starving our students. We're being too miserly with our dollars. We need to have a savings account like anyone out here today should have a savings account just in case. We need that. But we also need to stop looking at it as a miser does, admiring all the money there in a pile, and spend some of it. Because quite frankly, if we don't, we're going to lose this school district. We can't afford that. All of these students out here right now, Tucker, who would love to have some folks coming up behind him in band that can take over for him once he graduates, anyone who's looking at arts, anyone who's looking at anything, we need to have those resources available. We need to quit making excuses. I'm Rhonda Schulting, I'm running for District G.
Talking about kids' second chances is not making excuses. It's talking about the reality of those kids every day in their classroom. So let's talk about the contingency fund, the rainy day fund again. It is not replaceable, it's not renewable. We spend a little bit of it for a school this year, then they don't have that next year, it's gone. It's not a renewable source. You can't spend that and expect that to be an ongoing solution. It is not. So as far as helping kids make something going on in the classroom, test scores, increasing test scores, you know, I frankly don't particularly agree with the idea of pinning the accreditation of a district entirely on test scores. I don't really like that. But since that's happening, then we should talk about what we're doing for those individual kids. So I believe that it's not making excuses, but rather talking about what's really going on with those kids in the classroom. How can we focus on those kids and help them with the resources that we have and make sure that the pot of money that we have that's our rainy day fund, that's less than 1 month's salary for all of our teachers, is preserved such that we can shore up those contingencies without cutting into the classroom, without worrying about where that money is going to come from next year when we've spent it and there's nothing left. So I believe in second chances for kids. I believe in academic excellence across the district. And I will continue to work for that when I am on your school board next year. Thank you very much, Megan Silverthorne.
Candidates, we would like to thank you for your time. Thank you everyone for attending the Vista J Student-Led Board of Education Candidate Forum. The deadline to register to vote by mail is October 15th. The deadline to register to vote online is October 28th. After that date, you must register to vote in person at a voter service and polling center. Mail-in ballots will be sent out on October 15th. November 5th is Election Day and the last day to drop off a ballot. The candidates will now be available for individual discussions. Thank you.
Excuse me. Maybe we just have 1 minute each closing. We're running a bit ahead of schedule, so I was wondering if we could just have 1 minute at the podium to do some closing thoughts.
If it's okay with all candidates, we'd like to first ask.
Sure.
I don't see the clock, so. Okay.
Thank you. So again, Barbara Chase, District B, that's B for Barbara. I hope you remember, huh? So again, I just want to remind you why I am running. There's 3 reasons. One, to fix the fiscal mismanagement. So we've talked about that, and I want to restate that there's been 20 million the last couple of years that has magically appeared. And when those kind of things magically appear in June and decisions are made in April, sometimes things are cut unnecessarily. So there needs to be, let's understand our fiscal management better so that we're better prepared. So we've had 69 million in budget cuts, but we've quadrupled our bank balance. We've cut PE, music, art. I want our kids to be better prepared for college, so let's bring back that nearly 3 weeks of instruction that's lost, bring back the accreditation, and bring public back to public schools. So that instead of 49% of time meeting behind closed doors, let's bring it back down to the original 8%. Again, Barbara Chase, B for Barbara. Thanks.
So I wanted to take a few minutes and close, or 1 minute, I guess, in closing, and tell you that I want you to think about facts. Not all facts are created equal, right? We're teaching you to be critical thinkers, and you know that you must research the facts. Anything I say, anything I put on my website is right here, and I have 4 more of these. I'm happy to share it with any of you if you would like the real information. It's really, really important, I think, for all of us to talk about what we hear and what reality is. We hear all of these great things going on in Douglas County. The reality is, in U.S. News top 40 Colorado high schools, there's not a single Douglas County high school on the list. That is not okay. We talk about being the best and having excellent academic achievement, but we're not. And we need to go back to a time when we had an excellent school district and not go back as far as direction. We want to go forward, we want to be innovative, we want to do amazing things for you, but we don't want to do it without you being involved in that process. Thank you, Julie Kime for District D.
I believe in choice. I believe that choice provides opportunities for students, it provides opportunities for parents, and it provides opportunities for our teachers. It provides those opportunities by allowing parents and students and teachers working together to make decisions that are best for children, and by allowing a greater choice and greater opportunity, then our kids do get a better education. I also believe in pay for performance, because I believe that pay for performance, true pay for individual performance, allows our teachers to shine. It allows our teachers to be the best. It offers a path for those that maybe aren't the best, but want to be able to do that. I believe in site-based budgeting and decision-making. I believe that those that are closest to our kids are the ones who make the best decisions about their future. And I also believe in not spending in what we do not have. Judy Reynolds, District D.
First, let me take part of my minute to thank the students for doing this, and can we also just give them a round of applause? And I got my full minute back, I want you to know. Second, I want to tell you that the students I've met, I actually think are doing pretty well, so I don't know why everybody thinks you're doing so poorly. You guys appear to be doing great as far as I can see. This election is about, I think, you have a choice to make. We've talked a lot about choice, and the choice is whether or not we're going to have a school district that is run out of Castle Rock without the input of parents, teachers, and yes, students, or whether we're going to have a school district that is centralized in one place with 7 people making a decision. The discussion about finances has been an interesting one. You know, $17 million, 1 month worth of teachers' salary is what we hold in reserve. They would spend it on ongoing expenses. That is irresponsible. That'll get you about a month. And then after that, you have 0 fund balance. You have 0 ability to meet any emergency that comes up. And I think that's an indicator of how they would lead the district. Thank you.
I too want to thank the Mountain Vista High School students for putting this together. This has been great fun. Just to repeat a little bit about my history, I have 28 years in the private sector, and then in 2001 I became the Assistant Superintendent of HR, 2001-2002, 10 years in the school district. I think because of the lack of people feeling respected and honored to speak, that we need to put the public back in public education. We need to quit conducting so much board business behind closed sessions. This board does that more than 50% of the time. We need to have physical transparency. We need to really look at graduation requirements in an effort to get you on a level playing field with other students in the state and the nation. We need a fair pay-for-performance program to pay teachers off of, and in turn we need a fair evaluation system. I'm Bill Hodges, District E.
There are many wonderful things going on in Douglas County Schools. I mean, this obviously is an example, the student-led forum, which you have to, again, applaud these folks for doing what they did and for doing such a great job. But, you know, this district is one that, quite frankly, is slipping. We are graduating more folks because we don't ask as much of them. We've lowered the bar for our graduates. We've cut resources, we've cut teachers to the classroom. Quite frankly, if you look in from the outside, I don't think you can call this a world-class education. And so many of the parents that I've talked to say the same thing. They're concerned going forward. But one thing that really concerns me as now a taxpayer and just a citizen is the lack of transparency in this district. Yes, the checkbook's online, but not every single part of the checkbook's online. This district the board spends more than half its time behind closed doors in executive session. If I am elected, I will change that. I will come to you, to the community, and I will ask for your input. Because there's not one person in this room tonight that has all the answers. Together, though, we do, and we can do this. We can make the school district better. I'm Rhonda Schulting. I'm running for District G.
When I came into the district 4 years ago, the district was using a credit card for its fundraising, essentially for its TABOR reserve, for its legally required reserve. And if the schools had chosen to spend all of their carryover money, then the district would have gone bankrupt. There was no money. And now we have enough money to fund our teachers' salary for a month, and we have enough money to fund our TABOR reserve in cash. I think that's tremendously important because you deserve a district that's financially sustainable going forward. You deserve a lot, actually. You deserve an incredible education. You deserve world-class teachers. My main concern is teacher quality and the quality of education that you receive going forward. I think we as a district can have those conversations together. We have. I have reached out to all manner of people since I've been on the board and had those conversations. I intend to continue doing that going forward. I appreciate your time tonight. Thank you very much. Megan Silverthorne.
All right, candidates, once again, thank you for your time, and will you be available for individual discussion? All right, they are available for individual discussion, and have a good night, everyone.